Okay, go for it, Nick.
Morning. Is it morning? No, it's not morning, Beck. It's not.
Oh.
It's 7 minutes past midday.
Superb.
We didn't do one of these yesterday.
No, we didn't.
So what were you up to? What were you doing?
So yesterday I finished work about 3:30 and I went into the garden. We're doing lots of gardening at the moment.
Yeah.
I actually really enjoy weeding. I find weeding to be a very therapeutic thing to do. I get lost in weeding and I switch off. That and knitting are the two things that I find really, really soothing and calm.
Simultaneously?
No, I can't do knitting and weeding at the same time. That gets a little bit complicated, to be honest.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So, yeah, gardeners never look better. It's great.
I suspect yours and many, many other people.
I know, but they've just announced that they're not going to take away the brown bins, which is for the garden waste. So we're going to have to create a compost.
Yeah, you're right. So we're going to have very, very long hair when we all emerge, and terribly long grass.
And compost heaps.
But incredibly neat and tidy houses.
Yeah. What about you? What have you been doing?
I had a CBA yesterday.
What's a CBA?
Can't be asked. And you get them, don't you? You know yourself, and any self-employed person watching this, people working from home, you do get days when you just can't be bothered.
Yeah, it's true.
And actually, it all stemmed from one of the things that I'm doing that I hadn't been doing, but I'd always meant to have a go at, and that is yoga.
Brilliant. I've been on at you to do yoga for years.
I know you have. And I've always known that it was probably a good idea because, as you know, I live in train stations, airport lounges, on aeroplanes, hotel rooms, going all over the place. It's quite stressy sometimes. And I've always known really that yoga would probably be a good idea for mind, body and spirit. But it is one of those ironies, isn't it? There's, of course, that I was too busy to find time to relax and do yoga. And I suspect lots of people, at least 2 of our 3 viewers, will relate. Will relate to that. But so here we are in enforced isolation. So I thought, right, I'm going to do some yoga. And you go on YouTube and there's lots of yoga. And I've done it for 3 days running. I did 50 minutes yesterday.
Well done.
And I basically puffed myself out. And I don't know, I felt the first 2 days afterwards, I felt very calm and very relaxed. But actually after yesterday's session, I felt quite the opposite. I felt quite tense, quite uptight. And having, spoke to you about it, you said actually that's one of the things that can happen when you do yoga is you kind of release a lot of pent up emotion and feeling, but through doing the yoga, which normally I'm not that kind of person that's, as you well know, that's into that kind of thing.
No, well, yeah. I asked you whether you've been doing hip opener exercises.
I know, but I didn't want to talk about opening hips on what is essentially a public channel. I just thought that was inappropriate.
Well, they're hip opening exercises. Around the hips is where you store a lot of your emotion. What people don't realize is that we store our feelings and our emotions in our bodies. And when you do hip opener exercises in yoga, a lot of the emotions are stored there. So it can release emotions, quite powerful emotions. Right. So yesterday when you were telling me that, I said, well, just go with the flow. Don't fight it. Just go with the flow, go with what your body is telling you to do. And I believe you went off to watch a Bond film, didn't you?
I did. My body was telling me, slob on the sofa and put Man with the Golden Gun on.
Superb. And how do you feel today?
Well, I fell asleep before the end, but that's all right because I've watched it a billion times. Everyone has a kind of comfort film, don't they? And Man with the Golden Gun is one of my top 3 comfort films. So it didn't matter that I slept. But the point is, today I feel reinvigorated. Just been for a walk down to the post office. with the missus, and today I'm right up for it. And oddly enough, Sally's having a can't be arsed day today, so she's doing about an hour's worth of work, and then she's going to do nothing. And it is one of those things when you work from home. And notwithstanding what we said the other day about you do a little bit every single day and you have to be motivated, the fact is on certain days you're not. And rather than fight it because you won't produce your best work, you won't compose your best emails or prepare, in my case, prepare for courses and things like that. So it's better just to acknowledge that and go, oh, this is how I'm feeling today. So do you know what? I'm not going to do anything. And know that, you know, balance will be restored, and the next day probably you'll be right up for it
and more productive. So
yes.
It's really important to know that relaxing is good for your well-being and your immune system, actually, in these times that we live in currently. So fighting a feeling is no good. Going with it will do you the world of good, and you'll come back more productive and more refreshed.
Well,
So
doesn't that lead us beautifully into the weekend?
It does.
For those people who can tell the difference between the week and the weekend now. Oh, I can't wait for the weekend. I can have a lie-in.
Brilliant. Have a good one, Nick. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.